puberty is considered a child. For these BLS guidelines, puberty is defined as chest or underarm hair on males and any breast development on females. When performing compressions on a child, use one or two hands, whichever allows you to provide deep, effective compressions. Compress to a depth of at least 1/3 the depth of the chest, about 2 inches or 5 centimeters, allowing the chest to recoil completely. If you are unable to compress to the correct depth with one hand, either due to fatigue or lack of upper body strength, use 2 hands to provide ongoing high-quality compressions. For a single rescuer for victims of all ages, use a compression to ventilation ratio of 30 compressions to 2 breaths. If you are in a 2 rescuer team for children, the ratio should be 15 compressions to 2 breaths. Delivery of breaths to children requires less volume and force, but you still need to use enough air to see the chest rise. There are some differences in when to activate the emergency response system. If you did not witness the arrest and are alone, you should perform 5 cycles of CPR before you leave the child to activate the emergency response system. If the arrest is sudden and witnessed, leave the child, activate the emergency response system, get the AED or defibrillator, then return to the child. As you can see, there aren't a lot of differences between adult and child CPR, but they are important ones. Right now, I'm going to pause the video to allow you to get into position to practice child compressions. Remember, when performing compressions on a child, use 1 or 2 hands, whichever allows you to provide deep. Now that you're in position, let's begin. Follow along with the video footage as you practice, and switch students on the mannequins when the video instructs you to. Are you ready? Here we go.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29.
Baby, Greg, I think we got a problem here. Greg, she's not breathing. Activate emergency response.
Got it.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30.
Help's on the way. Let's start 15 and 2. Quick chest rise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Let's switch.
Any emergency can seem scarier when an infant is involved. However, the principles of performing CPR on infants less than a year old are the same as they are for adults and older children, with a few significant differences. To begin, let's take things in the same order as we did for adult CPR. We're going to teach you the skills you will need for 1- and 2-person infant rescue. First, check the victim for a response and breathing. If the infant is unresponsive and not breathing or only gasping, send someone to activate the emergency response system and get the AED. Check the infant's brachial pulse. Place 2 or 3 fingers on the inside of the upper arm, between the infant's elbow and shoulder. Press the index and middle fingers gently on the inside of the upper arm for at least 5 seconds and no more than 10 seconds when attempting to feel the pulse. If there is no pulse, or if the heart rate is less than 60 per minute with signs of poor perfusion, make sure the infant has adequate oxygenation and ventilation. If he or she does begin CPR, place the tips of your 2 fingers in the center of the infant's chest, just below the nipple line. Do not press on the bottom of the breastbone. Push hard and fast to a depth of at least 1/3 the depth of the chest, or approximately 1.5 inches or 4 centimeters, at a rate of at least 100 compressions per minute. After each compression, completely release the pressure on the breastbone and chest, allowing the chest to recoil completely. Count out loud as you give compressions. Give 30 compressions in a row.
7, 8, 9, 30.
Now let's take a look at using a bag mask device to provide rescue breaths for infants. Make sure you have the right size mask so it isn't too big. Remember, chest rise is the most observable sign to determine the effectiveness of your rescue breaths. First, position yourself directly above the infant's head. Place the mask on the victim's face using the bridge of the nose as a guide. Use the thumb and index finger of one hand to make a C to press around the edges of the mask. The remaining fingers of your hand should form an E to lift the angle of the jaw and open the airway. If you tilt or extend an infant's head beyond the neutral position, the infant's airway may become blocked. Make sure you hold the mask against the face with your thumb and index finger while using the remaining fingers of that hand to lift the jaw and open the airway. Make sure you make a tight seal between the mask and the infant's face. Squeeze the bag with your other hand to deliver just enough breath to make the chest rise. Deliver each breath over 1 second. If the chest doesn't rise, then you are not providing adequate breaths. Adjust the mask, reposition the head and neck, or administer a larger amount of air. Now let's
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Once more, I'd like to welcome you to today's event. I'm happy to announce that the Vice Chancellor and his team has arrived, and then the procession will be coming to the hall right away. May we please rise. So whilst we are standing, we take the national anthem. So your program, first page. So at my count, 1, 2, go. Arise, O compatriots, Nigeria follow thee, to serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith. The labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. To serve with heart and mind, one nation bound in freedom, peace and unity. We'll take the Uniband out and next. Oh God, no, sorry. Sorry about that. One to go. We sowed with joy and pride, with good our common goal. One heart and voice for all, we had a purple clarion call. Arise, mighty Union, roll in your purple and gold, clad in your fertile green hair, knowledge for service unto. Thank you. You may be seated. Sorry about that sudden break in transmission. My name is Sado Wilson. I'm professor in Department of Child Health, School of Medicine. I'll be the Master of Ceremony. And to join me is Professor Godwin Bazwaye. At least clap for us, please. So I'd like to call on Godwin Bazwaye to introduce the VC Centerage. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, once more I want to join my colleague in welcoming you all to this great gathering. That's Professor Sado. Please let's pronounce together for him. We are privileged to have in our midst the Vice Chancellor of the University of Benin, Professor Orumese, ably represented by our own Professor Pius Irobe. Please let's pronounce together for him. He's a traumatologist, but today we are talking about sudden deaths. Also in our midst, the mother of the university, the registrar, who is here in person, Mrs. O.A. Oshodi. Welcome. Also, we are privileged to have in our midst the librarian, Dr. Mrs. E.O. Idiodi. Please let's put our hands together for her. She ensures that our books are safe, although now we have e-libraries everywhere. So maybe we also have an e-librarian. We want to say that today we're all gathered here because one of our own, a pathologist, will be talking about sudden death. But the high table needs to be properly constituted. And we need to invite to the high table the chairman of this great occasion. No other person than somebody who has knowledge with respect to how the heart works. Somebody who is one of the pioneers in cardiology, not only in Nigeria, but in West Africa. He's also a past chief medical director of the University of Benin Teaching Hospital, an icon of the profession. Please, let's put our hands together as we usher to the high table, Professor Austin Obasuma. Thank you very much. He was also my teacher, and when we were students, we know that we need to give differentials of sudden death. But he's not going to be the one to talk today. We're going to look at it from the angle of the pathologist. We also have in our midst, we also want to invite to the high table the current Chief Medical Director of the University of Benin Teaching Hospital, Professor Michael Ibadi, ably represented by also one of our own, Dr. Obaseki Darlington, the CMAC of UBT. Please let's put our hands together for him as he goes to the high table. Thank you very much, our CMAC. He was sitting closely to his teacher, who is the guest speaker. If you look at people who are lecturers in morbid anatomy, they are very slim. They are not like me. And we're wondering whether sometimes they use formalin as part of their breakfast. Although we know that some of them are also a deviant from the normal rule. Maybe those ones don't drink enough formalin. They are very smart, fit, and they don't have pot bellies. So maybe they will tell us later what they usually take. We also want to say too that this gathering is mainly because of our guest speaker, who we have said so much about. We're talking about Town and Gang lecture. Now, please put our hands together. Maybe with a standing ovation. Let's invite to the high table Dr. Wilson Akiwu, CP. Let's keep putting our hands together. Let's keep putting our hands together for one of our own. You're welcome, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. He was my teacher, and if I say I've achieved anything, it only means that my teachers have done well. The okra never grows taller than the owner. The okra tree, the owner must always bring the okra tree back. These are people who taught me pathology, and I'm glad to be a student of Dr. Wilson Akiwu. Please let's stand together again for me. We'll continue to introduce guests. Thank you very much. We'll quickly take an opening prayer. We need to start with God, and we'll call on Professor Mrs. Awodu to come and give us an opening prayer. Please let's rise for a very short opening prayer. Professor Mrs. Awodu, please.
Shall we bow down our heads? Our Father and our God, we thank you so much for this great opportunity to gather here. We thank you for joining mercies for all those who have brought from far and near to this gathering. King of glory, we want to commend this program onto your hands. We pray you become a chairman this occasion in Jesus' name. Our Father and our God, we pray that your presence will be with us. And all those you have brought here, Father, you will take back safely in the mighty name of Jesus. Thank you, Father, for hearing us. For we are prayed in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you very much. We want to now quickly call on the Vice Chancellor, Professor Ruwensi, to give us his opening remarks. Please let's put our hands together for our Vice Chancellor.
I feel highly honored to be reading the address from the Vice Chancellor of this university, Professor F.F.O. Orumensi, fellow Nigerian Society of Engineers. at this first Town and Gown lecture series on the School of Medicine, University of Benin. The Registrar of the University, Mrs. O.A. Oshodi. The University Librarian, Dr. Mrs. Evelyn Omolabi Jodi. The Chairman of this occasion, our Chief, Professor Austin Obasan, a renowned cardiologist. The Dean School of Medicine, Professor M. Momo, other deans and directors. The lecturer for the day, Commissioner of Police, also a consultant, Dr. Wilson Akiu, coming all the way from Abuja. Thank you, sir. The Chief Medical Director, represented by the CMA, Dr. Obaseki Darlington. All professors, consultants, present. Visiting staff from sister universities. All staff of the University of Benin. Greatest university students. Ladies and gentlemen. It is with immense delight that I welcome you all and distinguished guests here seated to the warm embrace of the University of Benin as we gather to benefit from today's lecture, which incidentally is the first School of Medicine Town and Gown lecture series. The topic of this maiden edition, sudden death, the how, the why, and the way forward, is quite apt. Considering the life expectancy rate in Nigerian men, which according to research has been put at 50, the rate of sudden death has been on the increase in recent times. While it remains a fact that everybody will die someday, I'm sure we all want to do it in ripe old age, having lived a fulfilled life. The School of Medicine, whose business, among other things, is to attend to our health, has decided to give a public lecture on this very important topic. The lecture is to be given by no less a personality than a chief consultant pathologist, a forensic expert, and the Commissioner of Police of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dr. Wilson Akiu, who is uniquely positioned because of his specialty and exposure to do justice to this topic. I have no doubt his lecture today will impart knowledge and make us wiser about this. I wish to reiterate the commitment of the management of the University of Benin under my leadership to continuously provide and support the necessary platform, such as the Town and Gown lecture series, that will be of immense benefit to the university community, the public, and indeed Nigeria as a whole. While I enjoin everyone to be focused and fully participate in this lecture, I express my sincere appreciation to the team that ensured that Dr. Wilson Akiu is here with us to deliver this lecture. It is now my honor and privilege to formally declare the lecture open. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you very much, our Vice Chancellor. Please let's put our hands together again for the Vice Chancellor, the #1 citizen of the University of Benin. We want to now quickly, before we talk about the meat of today's matter, which is the guest lecture, we want to now quickly call on the chairman of this occasion to give us what we call the chairman's opening speech. Please let's put our hands together as we call on Professor Austin Obasan.
The Vice Chancellor of the University of Benin, Professor FFA Orumase, members of the management team of the University of Benin, present, Chief Medical Director, UBTH, represented, distinguished deans and professors, other teachers present, and students of the University of Benin. I'm glad to chairman this occasion, even though I was conscripted a few minutes ago, but it looks appropriate that this topic, which has been discussed by a distinguished forensic pathologist, is in an area where we can all give general remarks. But more interesting, I am very pleased that the guest lecturer is the one who is talking today. He's an experienced person in the area. I'm pleased that I was involved in his production and promotion to this position of excellence that he is in today. He is the first person in the police force to be made a consultant in any teaching hospital in Nigeria. I thought they were going to do a citation first, so that you will see many things. I don't know when that is coming. But it was a memorable time. Such an appointment had not been made in the police force before. And we, wanting to use him for his excellence, had to obtain special permission with a powerful letter to the Inspector General of Police at that time. And I'm glad he has risen so prominently to the position he is holding today. He's eminently qualified to deliver this lecture. And I urge everybody to listen with rapt attention. Sudden death is always a contemporary issue because it happens all the time. We are also very glad that the University of Benin School of Medicine has decided to make it the maiden topic or the topic of the maiden town and gown lecture. We congratulate the School of Medicine for that purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, I invite you to listen to the distinguished lecturer who has had the requisite training, experience to deliver this topic. Thank you.
Another round of applause for Professor Obasohan, a teacher of teachers, the professor of professors. This time around, I'm going to take it slowly. I won't get into anything suddenly, so we don't get into any further mishap. Once more, I'd like to welcome everybody to today's event. We are moving at a good pace, and soon we will introduce you to the meat of the matter. Before we get there, I'd like to recognize a few people who joined us. I'd like to recognize some deans in our midst. The Dean of Agriculture, Professor Bami Kole. The Dean of Law, Professor Enegbedion. Yes, thank you so much for coming. The Director of the Institute of Child Health. Thank you so much for coming too. And the Director of Uniben Health Center. Hello, take it easy. Take it easy over there. Thank you so much. I also like to appreciate the presence of some professors in our midst. Professors Daudu, Professor Bemudia Imaridiaye, Professor Medicine, Professor Aligbe is here with us. Here we go again, sir. That applause was rather long. And we will look into it. Why yours is different. You're welcome, sir. We also like to welcome in our midst Dr. Nwagu and Dr. Bob. both from the Faculty of Medicine, Delta State University. Thank you for coming. Now, next we have Professor Akigbe. Professor Akigbe, we would like to welcome Dr. Mrs. Adeyemi. We also want to welcome a friend of the speaker, SP Jude Waifo. Thank you for here with us. Thank you so much for coming. At this junction, I'd like to introduce the host dean, the Dean of School of Medicine, Professor Moses Momo, to give us his welcome address.
Mr. Vice Chancellor, ably represented by Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic Professor Pius Riogbe, Madam Registrar, University Librarian, and other principal officers of the University of Benin, the Chief Medical Director, ably represented by Dr. Darlington Obaseki, Deans, Provosts and Deans of the various faculties of the universities, Emeritus Professor J. Ayaru, very, very distinguished professors here present, our guest lecturer, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the entire students and faculty of the School of Medicine, and in fact, the entire College of Medical Sciences, we heartily welcome you to this lecture on sudden death, the why, the how, and the way forward, to be delivered by Dr. Wilson Akiwu, Commissioner of Police. In as much as we are very happy to bring this lecture to Gown and Town today, we however regret that the lecture is coming a year late, because we had scheduled it for a year ago, but for some logistic reasons, we were not able to bring it to Town and Gown. But as it is said, it is better late than never. About a year ago, the nation was shaking with a spate of sudden deaths of both prominent and not so prominent people, amongst whom were two national soccer heroes and coaches. And we thought that we should bring the issue to bear in the sight of everybody in the country so that we will prevent them. But as I said, it didn't come until now, a year later. But sadly, only about 2 weeks ago, on this very campus, a professor of science, in fact a scientist, collapsed and died at work. And that is our regret. Probably if we had a lecture a year ago, that would not have happened. I understand the students had come to tell him he had a lecture, and he said yes, he was coming to give the lecture. And the students were waiting, only to be told that he had died suddenly. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, this topic, this issue is still very relevant and topical. We are fortunate to have to handle it a core professional who has seen sudden death in all ramifications, be they natural, homicidal, accidental, induced, or otherwise. He is a very distinguished alumnus of this university, and as you have heard, he also trained in this university teaching hospital. That is our guest lecturer, Commissioner of Police, Dr. Wilson Akiwu. We will not preempt what is going to tell Town and Gown, but as has been said, when you hear a citation, you will know what we are in for this afternoon. We are certain that we will all be richer, and the entire university community and the public will be richer for it. And we hope that we will be able to prevent a lot of sudden deaths. Once more, on behalf of staff and students of the School of Medicine, I welcome you to this occasion. Thank you, and God bless us all.
Thank you very much, Dean. We have come very close now to the meat of today's matter. If you look at the program, the introduction of our guest speaker is to be done by my humble self. But I haven't realized that I do not use formalin too frequently. And we are privileged to have some other person here who is also closer to the guest lecturer. We have decided to call on Dr. Daliti Obaseki to give citation of this great teacher of ours. Please let's put our hands together as we call on Dr. Obaseki.
The Vice Chancellor, University of Benin, Professor F.F. Orumense, ably represented by DBC academics, Professor Paris Oroji, other principal officers of the university, I crave your indulgence and permission to stand on the well-established protocol. It's my honor and privilege today to be asked to give this citation on my teacher, my friend, and my senior brother, Dr. Wilson. We have a parable in Benin that says, those that are Benin know what I mean. Dr. Akiu taught me pathology. He did all he could to bring me into forensics. I'm an associate forensic pathologist, but I have my own area now. And I'm really, really humbled. And I'm almost overwhelmed. And to be asked to give the citation. Sir? Okay. Dr. Wilson Akiu, MBBS, MSc, PGDIP, Postgraduate Diploma, FMC Part, and FWACP. He's a Commissioner of Police, the first pathologist, and the head of Forensic and Crime Data of Nigerian Police Force. He's a distinguished honorary consultant pathologist with the Department of Pathology, University of Benin Teaching Hospital, Benin City. He earned a bachelor's degree in medicine and surgery from the famous University of Benin in 1983, and a master's of science degree in biochemical toxicology from Univentu in 1995. Commissioner of Police Dr. Akiu is a fellow of both the National Postgraduate Medical College and the West African College of Physicians. His various leadership preparation, including specialized and educational trainings, demonstrate his commitment to lifelong knowledge and a passion for self-improvement to better position him for leadership, professional and academic administration. Leadership administration, prior to his current position at the Nigerian Police Force, Dr. Akiu started with the Nigerian Police Force as an Assistant Superintendent of Police in December 1985. Due to hard work, commitment, and dedication, he was elevated to the rank of Deputy Superintendent of Police in May 1995. His leadership style earned him another promotion to the rank of the Superintendent of Police in the year 2000. 3 years later, he was again elevated to the rank of Chief Superintendent of Police. He rose through the ranks very fast to become Assistant Commissioner of Police in December 2006, and in 2012 he was again promoted to the rank of Deputy Commissioner of Police, and is currently a Commissioner of Police and has held numerous managerial positions with the Nigerian Police Force. Some of the positions they have held in the Nigerian Police Force include Officer in Charge as OC Medical, Imo State Command between January 1986 and June 1989, Officer in Charge of Medicals, Oyo State Command from January 1989 to December 1990, OC Medical Edo State Command between January 1991 and June 2002. Nigeria Police Force Forensic Pathologist, Forensic Laboratory, Alagbon, Lagos. Dr. Akin also said that OC Medical Kano State Command between July 2002 and August 2002. Forensic Pathologist, Nigeria Police Medical, Falun, Lagos between August 2002 and October 2004. OC Medical Zone 5 and Edo State Command from November 2004 to April 2011. Assistant Commissioner Medical Force Headquarters, Abuja and Edo State Command in 2011. Was second in command, officer in charge of medical forensic, so Force Pathology Edo Command and Force Headquarters from April 2014 to December 2014. The head of forensic and crime data and Force Pathology at the Force Headquarters Abuja was decorated as Commissioner of Police by former Inspector General of Police, Inspector General of Police Solomon Arase in 2015. He is currently the Zonal Medical Officer and Force Pathologist at the Ibadan Zone and Force Headquarters Abuja. Professional responsibilities. Commissioner of Police Dr. Akiwu is a member of Nigerian Medical Association, member of the Anglophone West African Division of the National Academy of Pathologists of Nigeria, member of the College of Nigerian Pathologists, fellow of the West African College of Physicians, fellow of the National Postgraduate Medical College of Nigeria, and member of Medical and Dental Consultant Association of Nigeria. Dr. Akiwu, on behalf of Nigerian Police Force, successfully handled the following challenging cases to a logical conclusion. And this includes the Okadibo saga. Those of you remember Dr. Chief Chuba Okadibo, a prominent politician when he died some time back. There were a lot of contentious issues. He helped resolve that death and the suspicion and all of that still with that death in 2003. Also, the Okija Shrine incidents that happened in 2004. Those of you that see about Okija, the shrine where so many dead bodies were found, it was at the helm of the investigation team that resolved successfully the cause of those deaths. In 2004, there was also in 2006, there was also what we call the Mobitel case. Those of you that would not remember, there was a case of the Mobitel, one of the major telecommunication companies in the country then, 2004. The man, the owner of the company, was said to have been killed by the police in his high-rise building somewhere in Lagos. Well, he was one of those that helped resolve that case successfully. The Fushon Williams case in 2006, Fushon Williams was the major gubernatorial candidate. He actually contested against Otuba Bola Tinubu in the first, I think 1999, was a major contestant and was supposed to contest again. He died in very controversial circumstances in his house, found God in his house, in his bedroom, and Dr. Akiwu again was instrumental to resolving that case. Although there are still some issues surrounding that case, but it has been successfully resolved by a team included him. The Daramora case in Ekiti State 2006, he also helped resolve it. The Ondo State CSO case 2006, and those of you, this one is more recent, the Ozola witchcraft cases, somewhere in Edo North, or one area, where some people were caught and said they were witches, and we were given something to drink, and some of them died. He was at the hub of resolving that case, which has been successfully resolved. These are just a few of them. There are so many others that contributed, we participated in that, but these are the major ones. Academic prowess. Dr. Akiwu, personal academic thesis include the following: effects of Nauclear, Latifora, and Kaya senegalensis on rats, 1995, for the award of MSc degree in biochemistry toxicology. 2. Ovarian tumors in Benin City, Nigeria, a 10-year pathological study, which he did for the award of the FMC part. A 2-year study of medical coronal autopsies in Benin City for the award of the FWACP. Knowledge of modern forensic technique by Nigerian policemen, submitted for the ICC course. Dr. Q also presented numerous people in different NS society meetings, some of which include 1, role of anatomist, forensic pathology; 2, police action in mass disaster, presented at National Scientific Conference of the West African College of Surgeons, 2006. 3, the police and odontology, that was presented at National Workshop of Forensic Dentistry in Ibadan, 2006. Some of his theses, some of the theses that have been supervised by Dr. Q in UBTH here include the pathological features of gestational trophoblastic diseases, influence of alcohol on road traffic accident, mortality and mobility, breast tumors in Benin, and childhood tumors in Benin. He is an erudite scholar, a peer reviewer for numerous journals, and a prolific writer with more than 60 publications in local, national, and international journals. He was an associate lecturer in the Department of Pathology at the University of Benin from 1996 to 2003, and is currently a lecturer, an associate lecturer with Benin University, Okada, from 2002 to date. He has attended numerous academic courses, some of which include intensive update and revision courses of both the National Postgraduate Medical College and West African College, intermediary command course, staff college, JOS, management course, ITF, JOS, diagnostic pathology course organized by the USCAP, United States Canada Academy of Pathology, disaster management courses for doctors, and the continuous forensic pathology academic courses. Dr. Wilson Akiwu is happily married. I would like at this junction to ask Madam, he popularly calls her G. We are his close friends, call her Lady G. He's married to Mrs. Gloria Akiwu, the solid rock behind him. Madam, please, would you mind thanking you for the permission? And married is blessed with 3 wonderful kids, like my junior ones. He's literally the eldest, just graduated now from the School of Medicine. We call him Bobo at home. But he's got Ted Akiwu, our fresh doctor, Dr. Ted Akiwu. The second lady is also in medical school in the United States of America. Often is not here, she couldn't come. And the baby of the house, is schooling, just came back yesterday from US, schooling also in the United States. So, it's been an honor and privilege. Like I started with, when the father gives birth to the child will also give birth to the father. To present, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to present to you, some people say one of the foremost forensic pathologists in Nigeria. I call him the foremost forensic pathologist in Nigeria. By virtue of his experience, the number of autopsies he has helped resolve, number of cases he has helped resolve, I present to you our guest lecturer, who's going to talk to us on study then the how, the whys, and the way forward. Dr. Commissioner of Police, Wilson Akiwu.
Mr. Well, rise. Let's keep clapping, please, for this great general, the teacher of teachers. When he is around, if you do anyhow, you will see anyhow. Thank you very much.
Please, let's be seated. Thank you very, very, very much. At a point during the citation, I was actually clapping for the man making the citation. I think he will do well in the Federal Ministry of Information, replacing people like Delay Mohammed. But thank you very much for all the superlatives. I almost honestly didn't believe you were talking about me. I always want to remain my humble self, the policeman that I am. But the Vice Chancellor, sir, ably represented by my very, very, very good friend, the DVC academics, Professor Iriwobe, with whom we were in the residency program together, virtually at the same time. The management team of the university, the chairman of this location, and my mentor, Professor Obasoha, Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to still stand on the already established protocol so that I don't make any mistake. But also permit me to welcome specially my cousin, the Onogie of Ogwa, Zaiki. You're welcome, sir. I also have my classmate from our Uniben days, Mrs. Comfort Enofi, Dr. Mrs. Comfort Enofi. My wife has been adequately introduced, so I won't go there again. If she had not been introduced, I'm sure by this evening, the dinner will not be complete. But the issue that we are talking about today is actually very topical. Sudden deaths, the whys, the hows, and the way forward. But when we talk about sudden death, a number of things come to mind. But let's start with the first things first. I thank the organizers for inviting me here. Uniben has always been very special to me. Very, very special. I was virtually forced into Uniben by my father, who spent all his life in the East. We all grew up in the East. Most of us could not speak our language. I am Ishan, and I couldn't speak Ishan. And my father thought the best way was for me to come to Uniben. I didn't like Benin at that time. And so, that was the time of concessional entrance examinations. Of course, I had about 5 admissions at that time. I first went to Ife to read pharmacy. But 2 months into pharmacy, I wasn't really enjoying it. I decided to come back to Benin, where my admission was waiting for me. And that's how my relationship with Uniben started. And it's a relationship that I have not regretted one bit. So all my achievements have been because I came to Uniben in 1977. Apart from that, virtually all members of my family have had one relationship or the other with Uniben. My wife has obtained 2 postgraduate degrees from University of Benin, and we are hoping she will still come back for more. One unique thing about Uniben is that everything is a complex. We have the gate complex, which we are showing on the slide now. And at that time, it was a big deal for you to have a gate that would look like this. I think this is the finest gate of any of the universities that I've been to in the world. At that time, we also said that the gutters they were doing was also a complex. So Uniben had a gutter complex. This is a photograph of my small family. Only the girl who is in school in US is not around now. But inviting me here is unique because the police is derided in Nigeria. Nobody really wants to see the police. And for very good reasons too. But then, I've since found out that it is the same thing all over the world. It's not different at all. The Nigerians who call police names may have very good grounds for doing that. But then, the police is still your friend. It is important to bring the police close to the academia because we need research to improve on our policing. And maybe inviting me here is the first step in this direction. It is necessary for the police to work closely with the universities for different areas. Such collaboration exists between the Forensic Psychology Department of the Liverpool University and the London Metropolitan Police. In fact, there is a professor called Professor Allison who is depicted in the picture. He is embedded with his team in the London Metropolitan Police. And so anything they do, anything the London Metropolitan Police is doing, it is recorded. And they have used that to produce over 250 papers on policing, and it has improved policing tremendously in the UK. We need something like this in Nigeria. I am also informed that this is a mixed audience and that it is not a strictly academic talk that I am going to give. And so I will attempt to reach everybody in my talk. I also want to apologize for some of my shortcomings. I am not a professor, much as I will want to be one day. And some of the pictures that you will see may not be very palatable. And so I ask you to brace up yourselves, and if you cannot look at the pictures, please just close your eyes for that particular slide. I may not also be as eloquent as some of the lecturers that you are used to, but I'll try my best. I bring you the compliments of the Inspector General of Police, who personally approved that I present this paper. IGP Mohammed K. Idris. Death has very special significance in different cultures. The unique thing about the African is that when we are alive, we are human beings. When we die, we are ancestors. So we really do not have any time to rest in peace. And it is believed that the masquerades we see around are actually dead people whose spirits have come back to perform some wonderful things that normal human beings cannot perform. And this is one of such masquerades. And if you notice, there is a rope tied behind this masquerade. And this is the type of masquerade I call Agaba. And when we are teaching pathology, especially neoplasia, there are some areas in neoplasia that you have to use this masquerade to explain. Because some of the things that lead to uncontrolled cell division is that this rope in the cell itself is the agaba. The rope is the things that prevent the cell from dividing. And so this rope is held tightly by somebody. And if for any reason the person cannot hold the rope, the cell goes into uncontrolled cell division that will eventually lead to cancer. So this depiction is very important both in neoplasia and in what we are talking about today. Deaths also cause grief, a lot of grief. And you can see this picture was taken at a funeral and people are crying. For Christians, they say that death is a choice. It's either you choose life or you choose death. So says Ecclesiastes 15:18. And without Jesus dying on the cross, we will not have salvation. So you see, death brings salvation to the Christians. That is the depiction of Jesus on the cross. But for the grey messengers, they say death is transition to another life. That is, there is another life somewhere. Even the Christians also believe that there is another life somewhere. The Hindus say that death is the name of God. It is the name of God. So there's a way they explained it, which was not even very clear to me, but that death is inseparable from God. So it is something that we must face. But that actually is the truth. We will all die one day. It is only when and the manner that actually differs from person to person. But when death is sudden, it's another matter altogether. And the whole essence of medical practice is to try to save lives, to avoid unnecessary deaths. That is the whole essence of medical practice. But when the death is now sudden, it is very traumatic, and people read all sorts of meanings into it. In fact, if a sudden death happens in most communities in Nigeria, it is due to witchcraft. But if it is a woman anyway, it is her sins that killed her. If it is the man, the woman's hand may just be there. So I still don't understand why men don't kill women, but it's always the women that kill the men. So sudden death is special in medicine and has its own definitions. And the WHO says that it is death that occurs within 24 hours of the onset of symptoms, when the death is not instantaneous and not due to sudden unnatural death. So you see, there are a few points about this definition. It's occurring within 24 hours, within the onset of the symptoms. And the death is not instantaneous. And it is not unnatural. That is their definition of sudden death. But there are other definitions too, which has made cooler in 1980 to say that there is actually no acceptable definition of sudden death. But one of the greatest pathologists ever, Mason, defined sudden death as unexpected death following so rapidly from the onset of symptoms that the cause of death could not be certified by with confidence by a medical practitioner that is familiar with the patient. So the essential thing is that you are not sure of the diagnosis in a patient who dies suddenly. And so you cannot write a death certificate on such patient. Death certificate is supposed to be specific as to cause of death. And so you must write exactly what has killed the person. In a case where you are not sure of the cause of death, you cannot write query in the death certificate. Therefore, you need the services of a pathologist to do an autopsy and tell you exactly why the person has died. And that is why I am capable of talking about sudden deaths, because we have done so many of such autopsies. Sudden deaths are not recent phenomena. They've been there from time immemorial. And the Luna and Elosia in 2012 gave a very good history of sudden deaths. But we know that the Egyptians, over 4,000 years ago, linked sudden death with myocardial ischemia. And the Chinese also linked it with arrhythmias. But hypocrites linked intense chest pain with very poor prognosis, especially when that pain radiates to the clavicle. And we know that that is one of the symptoms of myocardial infarction. But the first recorded case of sudden death was in that athlete, Philippus, who was a young, long-distance messenger. There was no telephone at that time, no other means of communication except person to person. And so, when the Persian army was defeated, he was mandated to run almost 30 kilometers to Athens to go and break the cheering news. And immediately after breaking the news, he collapsed and died. So it is the first recorded case. But how do we classify sudden deaths? Sudden deaths may be natural or unnatural. The unnatural deaths are those deaths that are due to homicides, suicides, accidents, and so on. If a crime is part of a sudden death, it is unnatural, and it requires further investigation by police, and somebody may have to be taken to court. It's only in suicide that a crime has been committed, but the person who committed the crime is dead. Therefore, you cannot take anybody to court. Suicide means you have taken your own life. You can also classify sudden death as deaths outside the hospital or as deaths inside the hospital. But the most important typology is that using the time frame following the WHO definition. So we will talk about the different categories of sudden death very soon. But in a study we did in Benin City, Aligbe, Akiu, and Musu, we found that 2/3 of sudden deaths that we saw, this was a prospective study, were unnatural, and only 1/3 were natural. But these were mainly cases that were reported to the police. We combined cases we saw in Central Hospital and cases we saw in UBTH. But when we now did a retrospective study over 20 years that included over 5,000 post-mortem examinations in UBTH, this was now reversed. We found 1/3 to be natural deaths and 2/3 to be unnatural. So it is said that prospective studies are more reliable than retrospective studies, but we cannot really resolve now which is more common. Sudden deaths can also be observed or unobserved. Somebody can just be walking on the street with people all around and just slump and die. This has happened in Ring Road a number of times. And recently, somebody who came back from Spain, he imported some items, including vehicles. So he wanted to go and see customs in Oluku. You know, see in inverted commas, so that the thing can pass easily. And somewhere in Isiho, he told the man in the car with him that he was thirsty. He needed a drink. So they bought Pepsi. Immediately he finished the Pepsi, he started gasping. And so the person in the car with him held on to the Pepsi and said, this must be why the man was gasping. Of course, when he was gasping, he was holding on to his chest and could not talk. By the time he got to UBTH at the gate, he was already dead. And so they reported the matter to the police. But of course, An autopsy that included toxicology showed that he died a natural death. So, but many researchers, especially from outside the country, do not include unobserved deaths in their data. They only include the observed deaths. And so, using time frame, there are 4 categories of sudden deaths. Somebody can just die and there is no history of any ailment at all. This is particularly common in Nigeria, where people do not go for medical checks. If you can just get up and move, you are okay. And so if anything happens to such person, it's always a surprise and it's attributed to many, many things. The second category is that of unexpected death of a patient that is on treatment but is not really that ill. For example, you are treating somebody for malaria and somehow you just say, okay, let me admit you and observe you for some time. And before you come back in the evening, the person is dead. And the person is not known to have had any other problem. There is also the unexpected death of an ill patient that cannot be explained. We have seen such cases in UBTH a number of times in which somebody is ill, responding to treatment, and you come back the next day, they tell you your patient is dead, and you really don't understand why the patient should die. Autopsies resolve such issues, and they belong to the category of sudden death. And then the death of an ill person whose condition has not yet been diagnosed, and it is thought that within 24 hours of somebody coming to hospital, the hospital is not really capable of making a firm diagnosis. So if the person dies within that 24 hours, we do not expect the attending physician to write a death certificate. It is a category of sudden death. Sudden deaths are becoming quite common. We have alluded earlier to the Dean had alluded earlier to the cases of Stephen Keshi and Shuaibu Amodu. Unfortunately, Shuaibu Amodu did not have any autopsy before burial, maybe for religious reasons. But Keshi had a very good autopsy, and eventually some cardiologists from US came around to find out what we found at autopsy. And it was in line with what they were managing him for before. So we had predicted in our work in 2002 that we'll have this more common sudden deaths. And it is exactly what we are seeing now. And we warned that at that time that we have changed our diets, we have changed our lifestyle. And so we will see more cases of sudden natural deaths. That exactly is what we are seeing now. I'm sure you are aware that about a week ago, a footballer with Kwara United slumped during training and died. We know about the case of Okparachi, who was playing a match for Nigeria, slumped on the field of play and died. So we will see a lot of these issues continuously. This is Keshi and this is Amodu Shuaibu, two very great coaches who won African Cup of Nations for us. Sudden deaths accounted for 14.6 cases of suspected murder reported to the police. I did say that when people die suddenly, there are a lot of suspicions. And so we looked at the cases reported to the police over a 5-year period and found that sudden natural deaths made up about 14.6%. That, to me, is quite significant because if you do not do a proper autopsy in such cases, an innocent person may actually be convicted. And so, despite the fact that we are pathologists, forensic pathologists, we save lives. Dr. Obaseki is aware of a case where somebody was actually almost taken to court for murder. And because of the way he protested, a second autopsy was demanded. And we found that the woman who died a very natural death. And that the first pathologist misinterpreted some of the findings, making him say that the person was strangulated. But we have also found that males are more involved in sudden deaths than females, up to a ratio of 2 to 1. We don't know why men are prone to dying suddenly, but then a man's life is that of walk, and plenty walk. The women actually relax much more than the men. And we also indulge in many habits that our women do not indulge in. Like, we drink much more than the women, we smoke much more than the women. But the important thing is that there is no age group that is exempt from sudden death. No age group is exempt. For sudden natural deaths, it's important we know the types of problems that can cause them. And generally they are separated into cardiac, that is heart, and non-cardiac causes. That is, it's either from the heart or from any other system or organ in the body. This is just depicting the opening that we do in an autopsy. This is the inside of the torso. The intestines and the lungs are showing there. Autopsies are accepted all over the world as gold standard for finding the cause of death. Although the autopsy rates are going down, especially for clinical autopsies. Data from different countries show that cardiovascular problems are the leading cause of sudden deaths. And the Spanish study and Bangladesh study show that cardiovascular causes are, this is very faint, but just take it that the cardiovascular causes are much more than all other causes. The data from IFE also shows that cardiovascular causes are very, very, very many. They make up close to half of all the cases. But then, there are other problems that can lead to sudden death. Respiratory issues, central nervous system issues, which may also follow from cardiovascular problems. Cancer-related deaths, obstetric issues, and so on can cause sudden death. Well, you'll be surprised that we say that cancer-related issues can cause sudden death. Somebody may be attending hospital somewhere else for cancer, and the person will be asked to go back, that it's better for the person to die around his loved ones. And so, when the person comes back, maybe from outside the country, at the point of death, they bring the person to hospital, and that still falls within the category of death within 24 hours. So we capture some of these things in our data from time to time. In our study in Benin, the retrospective study, we also found most cases to be of cardiovascular origin. But interestingly, we found some things like septicemia leading to sudden death. That is, infections leading to sudden death. And these are things you do not see in studies from outside in the advanced world. So, from what we have seen around, we can say that we are beginning to see a lot of diseases that are common in advanced countries at autopsies, but we have not yet overcome those diseases that are associated with backwardness. So we are now fighting both advanced diseases and the rudimentary diseases that have been captured that have been well taken care of in advanced countries. Because cardiovascular causes are the major causes of sudden death, it's important to dwell a little bit on them. And they have a special name. We call them sudden cardiac deaths. And they also occur at any age. They abound in Nigeria. There are numerous examples we can cite. And many diverse cardiac conditions are associated with sudden death. But generally, we have found that people who are above 50 suffer when they have sudden cardiac death. The cause is a little bit different from those that are below 50. And the commonest causes in those above 50 is what we call ischemic cardiomyopathy. That is, the blood supply to the heart itself is compromised. And that's generally myocardial infarction or heart attack. The common name for it is heart attack. We have also seen dilated cardiomyopathy in a number of cases. I'll give you an example. A man, very quiet man, got married, and when he was courting his girlfriend, they agreed that they will not have any sexual relationship until they get married. And so, on the night of the marriage, they decided to consummate their relationship. And towards the end, the girl noticed that the man was no longer moving. She pushed him aside and found that the guy was dead. And so, of course, the family of the man said that it was the wife that killed him. And when we did an autopsy in Benin here, we found that the guy had dilated cardiomyopathy. The heart was so dilated, so large. And I asked the family members, did this man indulge in any sports? They said no. Was he the very lazy type? They said yes, so even when something is just an arm away from him, he will still call somebody to bring it to him. So I had to explain to them what happened to the man, and that ended the problem. We also see a number of valvular problems. I tell you, if Kanu Nwankwo was playing within Nigeria, by now we would have been treating him like we are treating Okparaji. Because even when his club, Inter Milan, found out that he had a valvular heart disease, the father said, "Oh, we reject it in Jesus' name. Over our dead body, it's not our son." And when they told the man to do an operation to repair it, the family refused. But of course, Kanu had come of age at that time, and he signed. We also see a lot of hypertensive heart diseases. It is said that hypertension is commoner and more severe in blacks. Hypertension increases the demand for nutrients and oxygen by the heart itself. And the funny thing is that as hypertension is making the heart grow bigger, other problems associated with hypertension is narrowing the vessels that supply the heart. For people under 50, we see a lot of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, that is heart muscle disease of unknown etiology. And we also see some genetic problems that cause the heart not to beat properly. There are other things that can also cause sudden cardiac death in people below 50, but we will not dwell on that. There are other cardiovascular causes of sudden death, and these ones mainly affect the aorta. They are all generally within the same process, and we see a lot of aortic dissections. We have seen a case in which somebody had an argument with another person, and one went to pull his shirt, and by the time he came back to fight, the other man was on the ground. But they still accused him of killing the man. And when we did an autopsy, we found almost 3 liters of blood in the abdominal cavity. And we traced this blood. The man had an aortic dissection at the arch, which now bursts out in the abdominal aorta. The man exsanguinated completely. So these are common things we see from time to time. We have actually seen at least 5 such cases in the past maybe 20 years. But occasionally, you cannot really say that the cause of death is this particularly, even after a good autopsy. You may just see that the heart is enlarged, but you cannot place your hand on what exactly has happened to that heart to make it dysfunctional. Well, in such cases, you may find that there are some subtle things that you should investigate further, but we do not have all the facilities for such further investigations, like the channelopathies. They can also lead to sudden death. But because coronary heart disease is one of the commonest causes, it's good to dwell a little bit on it. In simple terms, coronary heart disease is deposition of fat in the blood vessels that supply the heart itself. The heart, despite the fact that it gives blood to all other parts of the body, it also needs blood to keep itself. It's like the army barracks in the Boko Haram areas. If the army barracks do not fortify themselves well, they are vulnerable to Boko Haram. And it has happened a number of times. The soldiers may be busy protecting other people, whereas they themselves are vulnerable. So the heart itself has to take care of itself before it can now give blood to other parts of the body. But for a number of reasons, the vessels that supply the heart can get reduced. The lumen can get reduced. But in many autopsies, you may just see coronary lesions, but those acute lesions that cause the immediate death, like rupture and thrombosis, you may not see them at autopsy. But what we do is when we see significant narrowing and other features, with negative features in other parts of the body, we can confidently attribute the death to coronary heart disease. You can see this heart. This is somebody's heart. And generally, we compare the size of the heart to the clenched fist of the person that has the heart. It's supposed to be the same when the heart is normal. But in this particular case, this is the heart. This heart is almost twice this clenched fist. And so we know that this heart is markedly enlarged. Therefore, this heart will need almost twice the nutrient that the normal heart will need. So in many of such cases, because of the increased need for blood, the heart muscles can die because they are not getting as much as they are supposed to get. And this is the coronary vessel from the same person. This is the left anterior descending from the same person. You can see at this edge, the left edge of it, there is some yellow deposit right there, which has reduced the lumen of this coronary vessel by about 20%. Whereas the heart needs about 50% more blood, it is now getting 20% less than it should get. And in this same heart, there were other features showing that the man had been having some myocardial infarcts that healed in the past. This is the heart of the man I said drank Pepsi Cola and collapsed. The risk factors for all these cardiovascular problems are quite many, but it is important to emphasize some of them. Cigarette smoking. In this picture, you can see that it is girls that are smoking. It is girls that are smoking. Now, cigarette smoking is becoming very common amongst our girls. The incidence is rising very fast. Sedentary lifestyle. These two persons are obviously obese. And you see this commonly in US. We hardly see them here. Here we are still grappling with malnutrition. There are a number of genetic factors too that can cause hyperlipidemia. Then excessive alcohol intake, and that is where people in the armed forces have to be very careful. Somehow, whether you want to drink or not, if you go to the police officer's mess, you will drink. There are other things like excessive consumption of caffeine from cola nuts, from other sources, diabetes, hypertension, male sex, and increasing age. They are all risk factors. This is pictures of two obvious drunkards. But the mechanism of death in ischemia is that it leads to irregular beating of the heart. In simple terms, my prof would say there is ventricular fibrillation, there is bradyarrhythmias, there is monomorphic ventricular tachycardia, and there is polymorphic ventricular tachycardia. But all that simply means that the heart is not beating in an organized way. The heart has to beat in a very organized way for it to pump blood to all parts of the body. When there is a disconnect in the way it is beating, it can just decide not to pump any blood. We have seen a number of scars in the heart caused by dead muscles. When the muscles die, they heal by scarring. And hypertension leads to enlargement of the heart, leading to more demands, and can also lead to disorientation of the heart muscle fibers. that can lead to the same irregular beats. There are two special cases that we must mention. Sudden infant death syndrome. Luckily for us, it's not common in Nigeria. Either it is just not common or we are missing them at autopsies. But there are deaths in children less than 1 year in which you don't really find any cause. But these deaths have been attributed to immaturity in the brainstem, which controls the heart and the respiration. In advanced countries, it is the third leading cause of infant death. Then deaths in young athletes, we have mentioned some. They are becoming quite common. And in many of such cases, it is blacks that are actually involved. Even there was a footballer, Premiership footballer, that collapsed sometime 2 years ago. And he was actually virtually dead for about 10 minutes. But he was resuscitated. He's alive now, kicking well, but he cannot step into the field of play any longer. Many cases can be mentioned, both locally and internationally. But most of these deaths in athletes, remember athletes, most of them are less than 50. They are attributed to channelopathies and hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. And Maron and his colleagues listed some of the causes of sudden death in athletes from the autopsies they did. So now, what is the role of pathologists in all these sudden deaths? We know that pathology is the study of the basis of disease, and it is at the core of medicine. All doctors must know pathology before they even qualify to go to the clinicals. And forensic pathology is a subspecialty of pathology. There are other pathologies like hematology, microbiology, chemical biology. They also play a role when we do autopsies, but this discussion for now is talking about morbid anatomists and forensic pathologists. In most countries of the world, only pathologists are allowed to do autopsies. In fact, in the very advanced countries, it is only specialist forensic pathologists. But in Nigeria, the law allows any doctor to do an autopsy. So you can imagine how many cases of miscarried justice that we have seen. So the pathologist is supposed to get a good history. He will do the autopsy, do the histology, take samples for toxicology. He will call in other specialists when the need arises. He's supposed to visit scene of crime, inspect clothing, weapons, and so on. Although we have listed all these things here, they do not really apply so much in Nigeria. But we attend court, we give truthful evidence, we issue death certificates, and we store the reports and the slides for future reference, both for research purposes and in case another person wants to come and repeat your autopsy. It has happened a number of times. We know what it takes to become a pathologist. If you want to become a specialist forensic pathologist, it will take a further 18 months. And to become a specialist forensic pathology, you need other skills that include odontology, entomology, anthropology, forensic psychology, and so on. For the government, we know that the government is interested in what is killing its citizens. In fact, in the Constitution, it is written that the primary purpose of government is to ensure security and well-being of citizens. And so the government provides the medico-legal platform for finding out why citizens are dying, especially when the death is sudden. This government is also supposed to fund the whole process. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, the government does not fund the medical legal work. So we still have to depend on the bereaved family to fund the process, which is very sad. Our neighboring countries, the governments fund medical legal work, but a number of things are being done now to push the government to change. The government is also expected to have a good death and birth registration process. And because the government wants to know why people are dying, there are different types of medical legal systems. We practice the first one, the coroner system. That means there is a magistrate or somebody appointed as coroner who is told that somebody is dead and needs coroner investigation. The coroner fills and signs a form ordering a particular doctor to do the autopsy, and the police acts as intermediary, going back and forth. But at the end, the coroner gives a verdict. One germane case is the case of Adeleke, the former Osun State governor, who died in controversial circumstances. A very good coroner system was put in place, and it was found that the man died from drug overdose, unprescribed drugs given by a nurse. We are even trying to find out now whether the man is a qualified nurse. But the man gave a cocktail of drugs which even our anesthesiologists will be scared to give. The police has a number of roles to play in the whole medical legal system, but they are in the middle of it. They are the coroner officers, and they carry forms back and forth, and they are also supposed to watch the autopsy when it is done. So, now, what is the way forward? And I know that the essence of this talk is to know who is at risk and how we will prevent it. Well, the answer is that everyone is at risk of sudden death. But males are much higher risk. And the underlying conditions we have mentioned before, but it's good to still emphasize that hypertension, major blood vessel diseases, diabetes, cigarette smoking, sedentary lifestyle, obesity are all associated with a higher incidence of sudden death. So what do? We must watch our weight. We must do regular exercise. We must have thorough cardiovascular system check before indulging in strenuous exercise. And we must also check ourselves from time to time. We shouldn't wait until we are down before we do a check. And that reminds me, Prof, it's almost time for me to come and check again. Last time was about 2 years ago. You must eat healthy, very healthy. A mix of vegetable, fruits, very good for everybody. And as we are getting older, we must bring down the carbohydrates and the red meat that we are eating. You must watch your BP and serum lipids regularly. And no cigarette smoking. As I was saying no cigarette smoking, I was facing one of my organs. No cigarette smoking. Take only small amounts of alcohol. And if there is any underlying problem that is found, see a doctor and take the drugs that you are supposed to take. For the government must fund the medical legal system. They must improve on our emergency health systems, including well-equipped ambulances. They must also bring up a program of training people in basic life support. If somebody has a heart attack here now, there is nothing we can do. Whereas halls like this in advanced countries, we have some gadgets with which you shock the person back to life. So we are virtually just living at the mercy of God. And the government must create a platform for us to educate our people on healthy living. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, we can conclude that sudden deaths are relatively common. They can affect any age group. We still know that men have always been oppressed by women in such things. Healthy lifestyle can reduce the incidence. And most cases of sudden death are of cardiovascular origin. Pathologists, police, others have a role to play in investigating such deaths and putting any misconception to rest. And government must provide the enabling environment for reducing such deaths. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much. Another round of applause for us. You may be seated, please. I'm sure we all enjoyed this wonderful talk. We will leave here soon. It's time now for question and answer. We'll have a short Q&A. So as to facilitate the Q&A, what we will do is we'll take questions from non-medics. Non-medics. If you are not a doctor, we'll take questions from you. So that in 10 minutes we'll wrap it up. So anybody with a question, a burning issue, a clarification, we'll take it. All right. Usually the simple explanation for this sort of thing is that the lecture was well understood. Oh, did you not? Oh, no, okay, medical legal, all right. OC legal, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wilson. Dr. Wilson is, I've known him for a very long time. I can remember there was a time I had a very bad malaria. I was actually not seeing anymore. And I was taken to him and he immediately prescribed some drugs that before I was taken to the hospital. But we have known each other for a very long time. I don't know, it appears you're no longer in the name. We used to meet at the police officer's mess where we played tennis over 1 or 2 bottles of beer. You indicated interest in studying law. I don't know whether you are still interested. But I will just ask you 2 questions really from a layman's perspective. The first question is that you said you can take small quantities of alcohol. But the question is, what is the right amount? What's the right amount of alcohol to take? You see a bottle of whiskey or beer or rum or whatever, and they say this is alcohol content 40%, 5%, 10%. What is the right quantity? Now, the second question I have is that you said one way of measuring the appropriate size of a normal heart is to use the fist of the person. I find that very, very illuminating. Now, if I want to know the size of my heart, to know whether it is normal, how do I compare it with my wrist? How do you do the comparison? Because from the example you show on your slide, it was the heart of a dead person. Somebody will see alive who is interested in monitoring how his heart progresses over time to know whether going to the other side or whether it's on this side. How is he able to monitor this? Thank you very much. These are just the two questions that I'm having.
Thank you, Mr. Dean. Very smart questions. We will take all the questions so that the speaker can respond to all of them. Luckily, we have in the house cardiologists. We have in the house doyen of cardiologists in this part of the world, the person of our chairman. So if there need be, I can complement some of the answers. So more questions, please. Yes, sir. I got a medic, sir. Retired or retired?
No, my own is not actually question. But the issue is that we want to link up with the common man and the clinical sciences. Just as you mentioned, what does it translate? And therefore, I want to tell you that first, I need to congratulate my team. They are doing very well. And may God continue to make pathology something of science. I want to point out, don't look at ZP as a policeman. There is a very wrong impression people have for this case. They feel that all these things is talking, those traffic accidents, the moment the hospital say, go, let's find what is the cause of death. Majority of you think of it as police cases. The nurses are even thinking of it. It is a police case. There is nothing like a police case. Nothing. The police case is a case that a small book used to go around when I was a very junior doctor, where there is no doctor. Anybody asks as a doctor. I don't know how many of you have seen the book. And therefore, there is nothing that is called police case. All cases of this nature are regarded as pathologist case. And therefore, Akim is not here, Dr. Akim is not here as a CP talking to you. It's not a police case, he's talking as a police pathologist. Any other person you find in rural areas claiming is a police pathology is a misnomer. Contribution is the way forward. Please, for example, he has said, people. I think the message from what he's telling you is, you, me, everybody needs a constant medical consultation. It means you have to go and see the doctor. Don't wait until you die, because when you die, you are already probably in another life. Then the last of it I want to talk about is, I'm surprised, I'm not very pleased that CP was not able to invite people who are supposed to be in this audience. I could have seen everywhere fail. Their police people are very scanty. As I was calling, I'm rushing. The checkpoint, they say, where are you going? I said, please, I'm worried. I'm going for. He said, what is lecture? I said, I'm surprised that you are sleeping. Commissioner of Police is talking. Do you think that as a policeman you will not die? Come on, follow me. He said, okay, carry your wahala. Now, most of these sudden things are coming. It involves all the chiefs. I would have expected leaders in the community to be here, because they are the ones who sit over an issue that a man suddenly died and the wife is a witchcraft, is a witch, this is poison, this is that. We did not do enough. For purposes of next time, please try to expand. What about the little boy said the number I was so pleased. This all, I didn't even see anywhere to see, because he did his article in order to spread it. Now, finally, the College of Medicine, I thank you for initiating this and starting with me. I do hope you will sustain it and make it a more glorious thing for the benefit of everybody. Thank you very much.
so much, sir. I like your advice. Better see a clinician. Otherwise, you'll be taken to see a pathologist.
Good day, sirs and madams. My own question is that before I ask my question, I do see some women selling agbo, hawking around the city. Most especially, the people buying the agbo from there are the mechanics and some others. But I got to know that agbo used to increase the hearts, the size of the hearts. But is it advisable for people to be still drinking it? Because I'm seeing that more people are taking it than the normal drug.
Thank you. Okay, any more? You have one. Okay, she will be the last one, so that anybody else with a burning question? Nobody else.
Thank you very much, our guest lecturer. We know that some people abstain from alcohol entirely. I wish to know, sir, if such people have an advantage over those who take alcohol, even in the small quantities that you recommended. Secondly, people who are already predisposed to such a condition, should they take the little quantities of alcohol that we talked about? Should they take alcohol at all if they are already predisposed to this condition? Thank you.
Over to you, sir.
I was actually expecting plenty questions, knowing that many of my teachers are here. So, with obvious bias, let me start from my teacher, Professor Aligbe. Years back, we were only very few in pathology, and he was our organ, he was our teacher. So administrator in the department, and he brought up all of us. Thank you, sir, for making me a pathologist. Yes, and he has said it all. We all need to check our health regularly. As for my people, some of them are here, some are here, but we couldn't bring the people in the command. There was a disconnect between the force headquarters and the state command. The letter asking them to attend has still not reached them up to now. So that is the simple reason. Nat, my very good friend Nat, asked what quantity of alcohol is okay. Well, I don't know either, but when you find yourself drinking every day and you find that you are drinking 2 beers, 3 beers every day, I think there is a problem and you have to watch it. When we say little quantities of alcohol, actually like a small quantity of red wine, maybe twice in a week. That is what it is. We are not talking about, one of my friends told me the other time that, oh, red wine is good for the heart. Therefore, he drinks 4 bottles every day. As for the size of the heart, it is the autopsy size that I showed you. Of course, I don't expect you to bring out your hand and start checking it with your clenched fist. But generally, if you check your BP and it is okay, we assume that the size of your heart will also be okay. But the BP is the quickest check. But more detailed checks can be done by the cardiologist. An ECG and echo, even a plain chest X-ray can also show you the size of your heart. Somebody asked about AGO and heart problems. I took a master's degree in biochemical toxicology in this university, and I worked on 2 components of AGO, Nuclear latifera and one other plant. We soaked some of it in water and administered to rats, and then soaked some in alcohol and administered to rats. The rats that the ones soaked in alcohol were bubbling all through, but the ones that took the one soaked in water all died. Their liver packed up. And why I did that work was because of a woman I saw at autopsy in UBTH whose liver packed up, and they said she took AGO. And I went to the family to look for the AGO that she took. And the woman was born again. She doesn't take alcohol, so they had to boil the AGO, and she took the extract. So we virtually confirmed that AGO, when you use hot water to extract the active ingredients, it's toxic to the liver. But all the AGOs that people are taking, what's in it? We don't know. So how can you be taking something that you don't know? So the advice I have is run away from it. Except you know what it does in the body or the constituent, and you are very sure that it is safe for everybody. So I don't think AGO should be recommended to anybody at all. Actually, people who take AGO, it is not the AGO they are taking, it is the alcohol in the AGO that they are taking. Because most of the AGOs are mixed with alcohol. It is the alcohol that they are actually taking. And my cousin, Professor Kumbowa, asked whether abstinence from alcohol is advantageous. It's a very difficult question because the books say small quantities of alcohol are better than nothing. Sorry, sir. And Bible, small quantities of alcohol, like I explained, are okay. But it is better to abstain completely than to take so much. That will actually damage your heart more than abstaining. Whether a predisposed person can take alcohol, it's better to just avoid alcohol if you are predisposed to all these problems. If the person already has a big heart, there's no need indulging in alcohol again. I think it is better. But some of these questions may be better answered by a cardiologist. I can only tell you that these are the things I saw at autopsy, and these are what I have presented here. Thank you very much.
Thank you once more. Can we clap for our speaker once more? To appreciate you, I would like to call on the Vice Chancellor, ably represented by the DVC ACAD, to make this presentation to you.
On behalf of the University of Benin, particularly from the School of Medicine, we want to thank you for this erudite lecture you have given to us. Thank you so much.
would like to call members of his family, yes, to take a group photograph with you. Please come on, please.
Thank you. The immediate family. Hello. Thank you. Thanks for that. Lovely lecture, lovely family. Every good thing must also come to an end. We want to thank everybody for coming, but especially we want to invite Deputy Dean, Professor Mrs. Awodu, to come and give the vote of thanks. Please let's put our hands together for her.
The Chairman, sir, our esteemed invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, you will all agree with me that it's been a very wonderful time with us here this afternoon. On behalf of the Dean and the entire staff of the School of Medicine, I want to thank in a very, very special way our guest speaker for today, Dr. Wilson Ahiwu, Commissioner of Police. A man of extraordinary intelligence and uncommon humility. You have agreed with me that he has broken the bars of what frightens students in medicine, cardiovascular pathology. Within a very short time and in a very, very simplistic way, he has taken us through sudden death, the reasons, the causes, then the way forward. This lecture, you will agree with me, wouldn't have been delivered by a more appropriate person, the man that actually had the final diagnosis. Once again, on behalf of the School of Medicine, I want to thank you so very much, sir, for your time to deliver this lecture. Thank you so much, sir. I want to thank in a very special way the chairman of this occasion. We actually asked him to come and be chairman less than 30 minutes before the commencement of this occasion. And he graciously agreed, and as usual, anything academic and medical, he's very, very passionate. And we know that he's always there for us. I'm talking in respect of the chairman of today, our erudite professor of medicine, a foremost cardiologist in Nigeria, Professor Austin Obasanjo. I want to thank our very, very esteemed professors. The Professor Emeritus of Medicine, Professor Anya Roots, almost about the first person to be here. Our very, very senior professors in the School of Medicine. I personally regard them as our pillars in the School of Medicine. They are always there for us, and they are right there in the front row. Professor Viasu, Professor Enwawa, the Deputy Provost, Professor Garoro. We thank you so much for always being there for us. Ladies and gentlemen, I must not conclude this. The whole of this event is planned by a committee, and the person behind this committee, the chairman of the committee, is no other person than Professor Winston Sado. Thank you so much. I want to appreciate the other members of the committee, Professor Ofili, Professor Bazwai. You've been wonderful. Thank you so much for going beyond the line of duty to make sure we are able to gather here today. And our great students, great Unibank students, great Unibank students. I want to appreciate your patience for always being there and for always being the #1 students of the great University of Benin. Thank you very much for being here. Yeah, I think I don't want to receive my salary for this month because I have almost forgotten the Vice Chancellor of the University of Benin. Can you believe that? Incidentally, she is our friend, and in fact, Professor Irubebe, the Vice Chancellor representative here, has actually gone beyond the line of duty to make sure we gather here. Up till about 9 p.m. yesterday, we were on phones with him to make sure that everything went smoothly today. We thank you so very much, sir. And I want to appreciate our mother, very elegant lady. I always admire her from afar. She's always there smiling, even when we are making mistakes. She just quietly, and like a good mother, just watching and smiling and putting us at ease. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being part of our day. Thank you so much. Every good thing must come to an end. Our deans from other departments, Dean of Lab Science, Professor Nablele, and other deans, Director of Health Center, I could see you. We appreciate your being here with us, man. Thank you so much. And please, if I do not mention your name, just forgive me. I thank all of you, and I pray that the Lord will not allow sudden death to happen in our midst. Thank you so much, and you have a safe journey back.
So we are in the last bit of this event. Once more, I want to thank you for staying and not leaving, and for listening to us. And I hope you got something. We just quickly like to thank their sponsor, the director and staff of Graceland Medical Center, Lutheran Medical Center, Sharon Diagnostic Center, Modic Medical Center, Royal Crown Hospital, and Ponders End. We thank them for supporting this event. May we rise, please. Before we take the national anthem, I'd just like to give thanks to God. We started with Him, and we are ending with Him for being with us and making this a huge success. So we take the Unibank anthem first, and then the second stanza of the national anthem. Unibank anthem first. 1, 2, go. Oh, Father, why walk our fruitful walks unfold? What we sowed with joy and pride, with good our common goal. One national anthem. 1, 2, go. O God of creation, direct our noble cause, guide Thank you so much. You remain standing while the procession moves.